Marcus wiped the sweat from his forehead as he walked through the muddy construction site. The rain had been falling for 3 days straight, turning the entire area into a swamp. His boots made squelching sounds with every step as he checked the foundation work for the new apartment complex. The storm had delayed everything by weeks. Marcus had been working construction for 15 years, but he had never seen rain like this. The weather report said it was some kind of unusual storm system that scientists couldn't fully explain. Strange lights had been seen in the sky during the worst of it, but Marcus didn't pay much attention to those stories. He had work to do. As he rounded the corner of the half-built structure, something caught his eye. There, in a deep puddle of murky water and mud, was what looked like a person. Marcus dropped his clipboard and ran toward the figure. "Hey, are you okay?" he shouted, but there was no response. When he got closer, Marcus stopped in his tracks. The person in the mud was definitely not human. The figure was small and slender, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer even under the gray sky. Long silver hair floated in the dirty water around a face that was both alien and strangely beautiful. The being wore what looked like a damaged metallic suit that sparked occasionally with blue light. Marcus looked around the empty construction site. His crew had gone home early because of the weather, and he was completely alone. The alien woman, for he could see now that she appeared to be female, was barely breathing. Her chest rose and fell in weak, irregular patterns. "Jesus," Marcus whispered. He had seen enough accident victims to know that this being was dying. Without hesitation, Marcus waded into the muddy water. It was deeper than it looked, coming up to his waist. The alien woman was surprisingly light when he lifted her from the mud. Her skin felt warm despite being soaked in cold water, and there was a faint humming sound coming from somewhere inside her metallic suit. Marcus carried her to his trailer, which served as the site office. He kicked open the door and laid her gently on the old couch inside. Her breathing was getting weaker. The alien's eyes suddenly opened, revealing irises that shifted between green and gold. She looked directly at Marcus with an expression of confusion and fear. She tried to speak, but only strange, musical sounds came out. "It's okay," Marcus said softly, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. "You're safe now. I'm going to help you." The alien woman attempted to sit up but collapsed back onto the couch with a sound that might have been pain or frustration. Marcus noticed that her metallic suit was damaged in several places, with what looked like burn marks along the sides. Some kind of clear fluid was leaking from the damaged areas. Marcus grabbed his first aid kit, though he doubted human medical supplies would help an alien. Still, he had to try something. He carefully examined her injuries, being as gentle as possible. The alien woman watched his every move with those strange, shifting eyes. "I don't know what you are or where you came from," Marcus said as he worked. "But nobody deserves to die alone in the mud." He cleaned the mud and debris from her wounds with water from his thermos. The alien flinched but didn't pull away. When Marcus touched her damaged suit, it suddenly came alive with lights and sounds. For a moment, he thought he had made things worse, but the alien woman seemed to relax as the suit's systems activated. The suit began to repair itself, sealing the damaged areas with what looked like liquid metal. The alien woman's breathing became stronger and more regular. She spoke again, and this time Marcus thought he detected patterns in the musical sounds. "Are you trying to thank me?" Marcus asked. The alien nodded, a gesture that was apparently universal. She pointed to herself and made a sound that might have been her name. Marcus tried to repeat it, but knew he was getting it wrong. She smiled, and Marcus was surprised by how human the expression looked on her alien features. "I'm Marcus," he said, pointing to himself. The alien tried to say his name, producing something that sounded like Marcus, with musical overtones. Over the next few hours, Marcus stayed with the alien woman as her suit continued its repairs. He gave her water, which she accepted gratefully, and tried to communicate with simple gestures. She was clearly intelligent and seemed to understand more than she could express. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the muddy construction site, the alien woman suddenly became agitated. She pointed toward the sky and made urgent sounds. Marcus followed her gaze and saw strange lights moving through the clouds. "Are those your people?" Marcus asked. The alien woman shook her head vigorously and made what were clearly negative sounds. She pointed to the lights, then to herself, and drew her finger across her throat in a gesture that needed no translation. Those lights represented danger. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the evening air. Someone was hunting this woman, and they were getting closer. The alien woman struggled to her feet, testing her restored suit. The lights and humming sounds had stabilized, suggesting that the repairs were nearly complete. She looked at Marcus with an expression of deep gratitude, then pointed toward the door. "You need to leave," Marcus said, understanding. "But where will you go?" The alien woman seemed to think for a moment, then did something that shocked Marcus. She reached into a hidden compartment in her suit and pulled out a small, crystalline device. She pressed it into Marcus's hands and spoke in her musical language, her tone serious and urgent. The device was warm and seemed to pulse with its own inner light. Marcus had no idea what it was, but the alien woman was clearly giving him something important. "I can't take this," Marcus said, trying to hand it back, but the alien woman pushed his hands away. The lights in the sky were getting brighter and closer. The alien woman looked out the trailer window with obvious fear. She turned back to Marcus and did something he would never forget. She placed her hand over her heart, then over his, speaking words in her language that sounded like a pledge or promise. Marcus felt tears in his eyes, though he couldn't say why. "I don't even know your name," he said. The alien woman smiled sadly and spoke a single word that sounded like music itself. "Zara." "Zara," Marcus repeated, and her smile became genuine. The lights in the sky suddenly intensified, and a low humming sound filled the air. Zara looked at Marcus one last time, pressing the crystal device more firmly into his hands. Then she ran from the trailer into the darkness. Marcus watched from the window as Zara's figure disappeared into the night. The lights in the sky moved in search patterns, but after an hour they began to fade and eventually vanished entirely. Marcus looked down at the crystal device in his hands. It was still warm and still pulsing with that inner light. He had no idea what it was, or what Zara expected him to do with it, but he knew his life had just changed forever. The next morning, Marcus returned to the construction site as usual. His crew arrived and began work as if nothing had happened. The mud puddle where he had found Zara was still there, but there was no sign that an alien being had ever been in it. Marcus kept the crystal device in his pocket, feeling its warmth against his leg as he worked. Several times during the day, he caught himself looking up at the sky, wondering where Zara was and if she was safe. That evening, as Marcus sat in his small apartment, he took out the crystal device and examined it more carefully. It was beautiful, like a piece of captured starlight. As he turned it in the lamplight, symbols began to appear on its surface, glowing softly. Marcus had no idea what the symbols meant, but something told him they were important. Whatever Zara had given him, it was more than just a token of gratitude. It was the beginning of something bigger than he could imagine. Outside his window, the stars seemed brighter than usual, and Marcus wondered if one of them might be Zara's home. He hoped she had found safety among those distant lights. The crystal device pulsed once more in his hands, and Marcus made a decision. Whatever this thing was, whatever Zara had trusted him with, he would protect it. It was the least he could do for someone who had looked at him with such gratitude and trust. Marcus had saved an alien woman from the mud, but as he would soon discover, she had given him something that would change not just his life, but the entire future of humanity. 3 weeks after finding Zara in the mud, Marcus had almost convinced himself it had all been a strange dream. The crystal device sat on his nightstand, its glow dimmed to barely a flicker. He had tried everything he could think of to activate it properly, but nothing worked. The symbols that had appeared that first night never returned. Marcus was eating breakfast when the device suddenly blazed with light. The symbols reappeared, spinning and shifting across its surface. Before Marcus could react, the crystal projected a hologram into the air above his kitchen table. Zara's image appeared, though she looked different now. Her blue skin was paler, and there were dark circles around her shifting eyes. She was in what looked like a cave or underground chamber, lit by the same kind of crystal technology as the device. "Marcus," she said, and he nearly dropped his coffee cup. She was speaking English, though with a musical accent that made his name sound like a song. "Zara?" Marcus reached toward the hologram, but his hand passed through empty air. "Is this really you? Are you okay?" "I learned your language from the quantum echoes in the crystal," Zara explained, though Marcus had no idea what that meant. "I am safe for now, but I need your help. What I gave you is not just a communication device. It contains information that your people must have." The hologram flickered, and Zara looked around nervously. "I cannot maintain this connection for long. They are still searching for me. Marcus, I must tell you why I was running." The image shifted, showing what looked like star charts and alien writing. "My people, the Keepers, were part of a great alliance that has protected this part of the galaxy for thousands of years. Earth was marked as a protected world because your species showed such promise." Marcus leaned forward, fascinated despite his confusion. "Protected from what?" "The Devourers," Zara said, and her image shuddered. "They consume entire worlds, stripping them of all life and resources before moving on. The Alliance has held them back for millennia, but something changed. Some of the Keeper leadership began secret negotiations with the Devourers." The hologram showed images that made Marcus's blood run cold. Planets that looked like Earth, reduced to lifeless husks. Cities that might have housed millions, now nothing but ash and twisted metal. "I discovered the betrayal," Zara continued. "The Keepers planned to give Earth to the Devourers in exchange for sparing our own worlds. I tried to stop them, but I was branded a traitor. They sent hunters after me." "The lights in the sky that night," Marcus said, understanding dawning. "Yes. I crashed my ship in your ocean during the storm, hoping to hide on your world until I could find a way to contact the remaining loyal Alliance members. But the crash damaged my equipment, and I was dying when you found me." The hologram flickered more violently now. Zara looked around again with obvious fear. "They have found my hiding place. Marcus, the crystal contains proof of the betrayal and the location of the Devourer fleet. Your people must be warned. The Alliance needs Earth's help to stop this." "Wait," Marcus said, standing up so quickly his chair fell over. "Help? We're just humans. We don't even have space travel that goes beyond our own moon. How can we help fight something like that?" Zara's expression became intense. "You do not understand what humans are capable of. The Alliance has watched your species for centuries. Your capacity for adaptation, for finding solutions in impossible situations, for protecting others even at cost to yourselves, it is unique in the galaxy." The device began to smoke, and Zara's image became unstable. "The crystal will teach you. But Marcus, it will only work for someone with the right genetic markers, someone who has shown the true human spirit of selfless protection. That is why it chose you." "Chose me? I don't understand any of this. You pulled a dying alien from the mud when you could have walked away. You stayed with me when those lights might have meant danger for you. The crystal recognized what you are, Marcus. What humans can be at their best." Alarms began sounding in the background of Zara's transmission. She looked back toward the sound with terror in her shifting eyes. "They have found me. I must go." Marcus, activate the teaching protocols in the crystal. Learn what it has to show you. Contact Dr. Sarah Chen at the Deep Space Communications Array in New Mexico. Show her the star charts. She will understand. Zara, wait. How do I activate these protocols? Place your hand on the crystal and think about that moment when you decided to help me. The crystal will do the rest. Zara's image began to fade. Marcus, remember this. Humans are not weak because you have no great technology or planet-destroying weapons. You are strong because you choose to help, even when it costs you. That strength is what the galaxy needs. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Marcus alone in his kitchen with a smoking crystal device. He picked it up carefully, noting that it was hot to the touch, but not burning. Following Zara's instructions, he placed his palm against its surface and thought about that moment in the mud when he decided he couldn't leave her to die. The crystal exploded with light and warmth. Marcus felt a strange, tingling sensation, as if the device was somehow connecting to his nervous system. Suddenly, his mind was flooded with information. Star charts appeared in his vision, showing the positions of worlds and fleets across the galaxy. He saw the Devourer ships, massive dark constructs that looked like mechanical parasites. He watched recordings of their attacks, planets dying as all life was stripped away to feed the endless hunger of the machines. But he also saw the Alliance worlds, beautiful and diverse, populated by dozens of species he had never imagined. The Keepers, with their blue skin and shifting eyes like Zara. The crystalline builders who created technology from living stone, the gaseous singers whose voices could resonate through space itself. And he saw the secret meetings, the betrayal that Zara had discovered. Keeper leaders making deals with the Devourer Collective, agreeing to sacrifice Earth and a dozen other protected worlds in exchange for a promise that their own systems would be spared. The knowledge download lasted only minutes, but when it ended, Marcus felt fundamentally changed. He understood now why Zara had looked at him with such hope. The crystal had shown him not just the danger but the solution. Earth's location, hidden at the edge of Alliance space, made it the perfect staging ground for a counterattack. Human adaptability and innovation, combined with Alliance technology, could create weapons and strategies that the Devourers had never encountered. But most importantly, the human tendency to fight for others, even strangers, could unite the fractured alliance. Marcus looked at the crystal, which had returned to its steady glow. He now knew how to use it to communicate across interstellar distances, how to decode Alliance languages, and how to identify the quantum signatures of Devourer technology. He also knew that Dr. Sarah Chen at the Deep Space Communications Array was secretly a descendant of one of the first humans to make contact with the Alliance. Centuries ago, she had been waiting her entire career for this moment. Marcus grabbed his keys and headed for the door. He had a 12-hour drive to New Mexico ahead of him, and potentially the fate of two civilizations hanging in the balance. As he started his truck, he thought about Zara, and hoped she had escaped her pursuers. The crystal device pulsed once in his pocket, and Marcus felt a strange certainty that this was just the beginning. Zara had been right about humans and their capacity for rising to impossible challenges. Marcus had pulled one alien from the mud, but if the knowledge in the crystal was correct, that single act of compassion was about to pull the entire galaxy back from the brink of destruction. During the long drive through the desert, Marcus tried to process everything he had learned. The Devourers were only months away from Earth. The betrayal by the Keepers had left the Alliance in chaos. Dozens of worlds were depending on the information Zara had died trying to protect. No, Marcus corrected himself. Zara wasn't dead. Somehow, he was certain she had escaped. The crystal would have told him if she hadn't. She was out there somewhere, probably trying to reach other loyal Alliance members, counting on Marcus to do his part on Earth. As the lights of the Deep Space Communications Array appeared on the horizon, Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He was just a construction worker from Ohio, but he was carrying the hopes of an entire galactic civilization in his pocket. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tonight, he was still just Marcus, driving through the desert with an alien crystal that hummed with the voices of the stars. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the crystal device on her desk, its soft glow reflecting off the banks of monitors and equipment that filled her office at the Deep Space Communications Array. Marcus sat across from her, exhausted from his drive through the desert and overwhelmed by everything that had happened. "I've been waiting 40 years for someone to bring me this," Dr. Chen said quietly. She was a small woman in her 60s, with gray-streaked hair and eyes that seemed to hold depths Marcus couldn't fathom. "My grandmother told me stories passed down from her great-grandmother. Stories about visitors from the stars who promised they would return when Earth needed them most." "You believe me?" Marcus asked, relief flooding through him. He had been terrified that she would think he was insane. "The quantum signature of this crystal is unlike anything created by human technology," Dr. Chen said, running her hands over its surface. "More than that, it's been trying to connect with our deep space arrays for weeks. We detected the signals but couldn't decode them, until now." She activated her computer systems, and suddenly the room filled with the soft music of alien languages. The crystal responded, projecting holographic displays that showed the current positions of the Devourer fleet and the scattered Alliance forces. 73 hours until the Devourers reach Earth's outer system, Dr. Chen said, reading data that flowed across her screens. The Alliance forces are scattered and fighting among themselves because of the Keeper betrayal. Most of them don't even know which side their own leaders are on. Marcus felt his heart sink. "Then it's too late. We can't evacuate the whole planet in 3 days." Dr. Chen smiled, and Marcus was surprised to see determination rather than despair in her expression. "We're not going to evacuate. We're going to fight. And thanks to what your friend Zara preserved, we're going to win." Over the next hour, Dr. Chen explained the plan that had been developed in secret by Alliance loyalists over the past century. Earth's position at the edge of Alliance space wasn't just strategic for hiding, it was perfect for something much more important. The Devourers consume worlds by first disrupting the quantum field that binds matter together, Dr. Chen explained, showing Marcus recordings of their attacks. Once that field collapses, they can literally eat the planet's mass and energy. But they've never encountered a world that could generate a quantum resonance cascade. "What's that?" Marcus asked, trying to follow the complex science. Earth sits at the intersection of several quantum field lines that run throughout this part of the galaxy. If we can generate the right frequency pulse from our planet's surface, we can create a cascade that will travel along those field lines to every world in the Alliance. It will strengthen the quantum bonds that hold matter together, making the Alliance worlds immune to Devourer consumption. Marcus stared at her. "That sounds too good to be true. Why hasn't anyone tried it before?" "Because it requires a level of planetary cooperation that no species has ever achieved," Dr. Chen said. "The pulse has to be generated simultaneously from thousands of locations around Earth's surface, all perfectly synchronized. Any significant delay or variation in timing, and the cascade fails. Most species are too divided by politics and territorial disputes to coordinate something like this." "But humans aren't?" Dr. Chen's smile widened. "Humans have something unique, Marcus. When faced with extinction, we stop fighting each other and start fighting the threat. Zara was right about what makes your species special. Give humans a common enemy, and they'll work together in ways that seem impossible to other species." As if summoned by her words, the crystal device suddenly blazed with light. Zara's hologram appeared again, but this time she looked different. Her blue skin had regained its healthy shimmer, and her shifting eyes were bright with hope. "Marcus, Dr. Chen, I escaped my pursuers and have reached the Loyalist stronghold," Zara said, relief evident in her musical voice. "The Alliance leaders have received your quantum burst. They cannot believe what they are seeing from Earth." "What are they seeing?" Marcus asked. "In the past 18 hours, your governments have shared the quantum resonance technology with every nation on Earth. Military organizations are working together to coordinate the placement of resonance generators. Scientists, who have been rivals for decades, are collaborating on frequency calculations. Even your news organizations have agreed to broadcast synchronized timing signals." Dr. Chen nodded with satisfaction. "We knew that once world leaders understood the threat, they would put aside their differences. Humans always unite against external enemies." "The Alliance has never seen anything like it," Zara continued. "On other worlds, it takes months or years to achieve even basic cooperation between different groups. Earth's population is coordinating a planet-wide defense operation in less than 2 days." Marcus felt a surge of pride in his species, but also tremendous pressure. "What if we make a mistake? What if the synchronization isn't perfect?" "Then billions die," Zara said simply. "But Marcus, the crystal chose you for a reason. Human intuition and adaptability have already solved problems that Alliance scientists couldn't crack in centuries. Your people have improved the original resonance design by 30% efficiency." The hologram flickered as new information came through. "The Devourer fleet has reached your outer system. They are beginning their approach to Earth. You have 6 hours to complete the resonance network." Dr. Chen was already moving, activating communication arrays that connected to every continent on Earth. "Marcus, I need you to do something that might seem strange." "What?" "The quantum resonance requires not just technological synchronization, but biological synchronization as well. The crystal has bonded with your genetic pattern. You need to be at the primary resonance point when we activate the cascade." Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settle on him again. "Where's the primary point?" "The exact spot where you found Zara," Dr. Chen said. "The location where you made the choice to help her, despite the risk to yourself. That moment of selfless decision created a quantum echo that the crystal has been using to calibrate the entire network." 3 hours later, Marcus stood in the muddy construction site where his life had changed forever. Quantum resonance generators had been installed throughout the area, their alien technology humming in harmony with similar devices placed across the globe. The crystal device was warm in his hands, its glow synchronized with the approaching moment of activation. Above him, the sky was filled with lights that were definitely not stars. The Devourer fleet had arrived in Earth's atmosphere, their massive ships blotting out portions of the night sky. Around the world, Marcus knew, similar scenes were playing out as humanity prepared for its greatest test. "All stations report ready," Dr. Chen's voice came through his earpiece. "Marcus, are you in position?" "I'm here," Marcus said, standing in the exact spot where he had found Zara in the mud. The construction site was now surrounded by military equipment and scientists, but Marcus felt alone with the weight of what was about to happen. "Initiate quantum resonance cascade in 10 seconds, Dr. Chen announced. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate." Marcus pressed his palm against the crystal device and felt it explode with energy. Around him, the resonance generators created a sound like the universe itself was singing. The energy pulse spread outward from Earth at the speed of light, following the quantum field lines that connected every world in the Alliance. Above them, the Devourer ships suddenly stopped their advance. Their consumption fields, which should have been able to tear apart Earth's matter, encountered quantum bonds that couldn't be broken. For the first time in their existence, the Devourers found themselves facing something they couldn't consume. "It's working!" Dr. Chen's voice was filled with amazement. "The cascade is reaching every Alliance world. The Devourers can't breach the quantum reinforcement." but Marcus barely heard her. The crystal in his hands was showing him something incredible. Across the galaxy, alliance worlds were lighting up with the same quantum resonance. Millions of beings who had been preparing for extinction were suddenly safe behind barriers the devourers couldn't breach. More than that, the resonance was awakening something in the alliance species themselves. The same quantum field that protected them from the devourers was also enhancing their natural abilities. The crystalline builders could now create structures that spanned star systems. The gaseous singers could harmonize across galactic distances. The keepers could see quantum possibilities that had been hidden from them for millennia. "Marcus," Zara's voice came through the crystal, filled with wonder. "Do you understand what you have done? The resonance isn't just protecting us, it's evolving us. Humanity has given the galaxy a gift that will change everything forever." The Devourer fleet, unable to consume anything in the solar system, began to retreat. But Marcus knew from the knowledge the crystal had given him that they wouldn't return. The quantum resonance had made them obsolete. They could no longer feed on the matter of alliance worlds, and without that sustenance, their ancient machines would eventually shut down. "The war is over," Dr. Chen announced to the world. "The Devourer threat has ended." 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same spot again, but the muddy construction site had been transformed into Earth's first interstellar communications center. The apartment complex he had been building was now a compound where humans worked alongside beings from dozens of alliance worlds. Zara was there, no longer a fugitive, but now serving as Earth's first alien ambassador. The Keeper leadership had been replaced by loyalists who welcomed humanity into the alliance as full partners. The betrayers had been arrested and faced justice for their crimes. "I told you that humans would change everything," Zara said, standing beside Marcus as they watched ships from across the galaxy landing at the new spaceport built where the construction site used to be. "I was just a construction worker who couldn't leave someone to die in the mud," Marcus said. "Anyone would have done the same thing." Zara shook her head, her shifting eyes reflecting the light of alien suns. "That is exactly why it had to be a human. Any other species would have calculated the risks, considered the political implications, worried about the consequences of helping an unknown alien. Humans see someone who needs help, and they help. It is that simple and that profound." Marcus looked around at the busy spaceport, where human children played with young beings from a dozen different worlds. Human scientists worked with Alliance researchers on technologies that would reshape the galaxy. Human engineers designed ships that would carry the quantum resonance to distant corners of space, protecting worlds that hadn't even been discovered yet. "So what happens now?" Marcus asked. "Now, humanity takes its place among the stars," Zara said, "not as conquerors or servants, but as protectors. The Alliance has voted to establish Earth as the center of a new galactic protection network. Every threatened world, every species facing extinction, every being who needs help will know they can come here." Marcus smiled, thinking about the future that stretched ahead. Humanity had always been good at helping others, at finding solutions to impossible problems, at standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. Now they would do it on a galactic scale. The crystal device, now permanently installed at the center of the communications complex, pulsed with the quantum heartbeat of an entire galaxy. And at its core was the memory of a simple choice made by a construction worker who couldn't walk away from someone dying in the mud. That choice had indeed changed everything.